Hello, and welcome to Raise the Bar, the Sky High and Fly Jump Camps podcast with your host, Troy Haynes. Today, we are going to be talking to Paul Galas, a young man who was a high jumper in Canada and made it to the Olympic trials for Canada in 2021, where he finished third. This is part two of that interview. We get to hear stories about jumping against Derek Drouin and what Paul is doing now, which includes becoming a coach for all the jumps. And we talk a little bit of training and anything of interest to do with high jumping. So get ready, fasten your seatbelts for part two of Paul Galas. I want the encyclopedia and I want you to start at A and end up at Z. Yeah. And he was like, here's page 137. You know, it's like, okay, there's a little piece there. It's funny, you know, nobody's really forthcoming with all their great training ideas. So that's part of why, you know, we're doing here, because I'm still I steal liberally and anywhere that I can. You know, when I'm watching drills on Instagram or I'm watching technique, or you know, I'm speed, agility, plyometrics, you know, all these different things. The more I watch, the more, and I know what I like and I know why I like it. And when I see something, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm instigating that tomorrow, you know?
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah. I mean, with me, it's in this point in my, you know, I'm, I guess, 3 years now at the collegiate level coaching, like, and I mean, two of them being pandemic years, which I guess kind of count as, you know, 0.5, but I'm still trying to build kind of a philosophy of mine, and you know, picking brains of other coaches and just trying to see, you know, not make the same mistakes they did, and hopefully kind of land on something that I feel really, I mean, I feel pretty comfortable where I'm at right now and in how I deliver things, but you know, there's always room to grow. And I think that's what draws me to coaching, is like, you can always learn more, whether it's in the textbook or it's not, right? If it's a soft skill or if it's legit sports science, like it doesn't, you know, and there's really only one way to find out, and that's experimenting, right? You got to throw it in the fire and throw it at the wall and see if it sticks. If it sticks, okay, might stick for this person, but not this person. So how do you adjust it? So it's like, like maybe this one athlete I have, you know, just like needs to isolate, like, and just focus on cueing this one thing. And then maybe this one athlete is rhythmic based, and you know, they need to feel something opposed to, you know, see something. And it's like, it's all, and it keeps you up at night and in a good way, and it gets you up in the morning and is excited to, you know, to go to work. So that's why I love it. And like you said, you can always, Instagram has been an interesting tool now, because you can just see other coaches and other athletes, and you can choose. Like, you don't have, like, you know, sometimes you'll see some things which is maybe too fluffy, right? Like, okay, like, what does that really work? Like, what, like, do you need all those gadgets to do this?
Right.
Or, you know, and then sometimes you're like, oh shoot, like what they just did really, really emphasizes emotion that I've been trying to coach.
Yes.
But I just, or it's, if they're writing something, it's like, oh, I never thought about saying it that way. Maybe if I just say it that way, they might understand what to say. And it's like, so it's like, that sharing of knowledge, I think, has been great. And, you know, I've been through a few mentorship programs, you know, through some local organizations, national organization, like just with other coaches. And, you know, that's kind of their, it's a common theme, is just pick other people's brains and see what's worked. And, you know, that's, and maybe, and like you'd mentioned, maybe back then that wasn't the case, right?
Yeah. Well, I think communication's gotten better. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I'm in this kind of golden age of coaches education, right? Like it's, people can get a master's degree in coaching now. Like, you know, it's no longer just the kinesiology, physical education degree. Like, there's legitimate degrees in coaching, and you know, it's kind of coming into that, I guess, European model that they have there, where, you know, coaches have master's degrees in coaching and this and that. So, I mean, like, coaching is definitely not the easiest thing. It gives you a lot of pulling your hair out sometimes, and you know, you're kind of always forget that the people that I work with are, you know, between the ages of 18 and typically 23. So. You know, just it's a lot, and it's fun, and you know, I think, you know, like I said, 3 years in, but you know, I've enjoyed every bit of it. So hopefully, keep pushing along there.
Right. Well, now getting more specific. Now, you jumped 6'11" in high school, and then you went down to Now, did you go to Indiana right away, right after your visit?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I jumped actually 6'11" in my 11th grade year. So,
Uh-huh.
yeah, and then I was like 6'10", I think, grade 10. Like the
The
senior year of high
senior
school.
year.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I just kind of, for whatever reason, I guess I was just kind of hit like had a heck of a U17 year, and then
Right.
that kind of made, for like I said, maybe better for worse, false sense of confidence, and or
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever you want to call it. Yeah,
What's
but
really weird is body dynamics changes.
yeah, yeah,
Sometimes, I've seen guys that look really, really good as freshmen and sophomores, and then maybe
yeah,
they grow too much or they grow not at all and put on 10, 15 pounds.
yeah, yeah,
Strength to weight
100%.
ratio is a big thing.
Yeah, I think in my case, I was just gangly. Like I was a gangly, tall, skinny dude just trying to run to the bar and jump. And I think, yeah, something happened between grade 11 and grade 12 where
yeah,
I didn't make much progress because I felt like I was just, hit a little bit of plateau. But nonetheless, it was still good enough to get me, to a place like Indiana,
sure.
and they saw the potential from, the year,
Right.
17-year-old kid,
Well,
at the
6'10 is nothing to sneeze at too. And
no, yeah, exactly. So it
at the
was,
state level, in high school, California, usually 6'10 is not going to win, but it is
yeah,
going to be close,
yeah,
so you'll get almost always one kid that jumps 6'11 or 7 feet, but in a good year, maybe two or three, but
yeah,
it's up there for sure.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's so funny. Your career and mine have a lot of parallels. That the
Mm-hmm.
same heights ish in high
Yeah.
school, going and having that down year. Now my down year was between my freshman year, that first year at UCLA. I was 6'3", 180 pounds in high school, 6'3" and a half,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't grow height wise at all, but I put on 15 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So all of a sudden I was 195, and my freshman year I jumped like a rock, like I could not get
Yeah.
off the ground. And I it came to realize I don't think playing football I was always, for some reason, was always benching more than I was squatting. And then when I
Of
got
course.
in the weight room there, I kind of kept that same thing going. I think I just kind of lifted curls for the girls, and we
Right.
did some squats and stuff, but I don't know. I wasn't really that focused. They didn't have anybody in the weight room that was in charge of the track athletes. It was
Mm-hmm.
much more about the two majors, which would be basketball and football. Football first, and
Right.
the two training guys were great guys, and they were just they were always making sure the football players were on point. So you
Mm-hmm.
know, doing something more specific for track, that was again kind of inherited through Dell and Lee. We're like, hey, we need to be doing
Of course.
hang cleans and this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And okay, but I don't know, I didn't push it. But that first year, after a really horrible freshman year, which
Mm-hmm.
I should have
Yeah.
redshirted as it turned out, and nobody was really
Yeah.
caring because I was walking on.
Right.
But then that second year, I got my squats, full squats up to 400 pounds, and was doing hang cleans like 275 or something, and then
Mm-hmm.
went from 6'8" to 7'2". So that was I know in my pantheon of things that importance, I think strength for
Yeah.
sure, especially with that. After putting on the extra 15 pounds, I didn't get any lighter. I always
Mm-hmm.
had trouble trying to be thin. Six
Yeah.
three. I've jumped against guys who were a lot thinner. I
Yeah.
think Lee Balkin, when I jumped against him in college, was 6'4", about 160. I want to say
Yeah.
maybe 170, but I don't think so. Dell
Mm-hmm.
was pretty thin, and they were always telling me I was fat. They were basically like, "Hey, you're a big chunk. You look like a decathlete."
That's funny. Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
have you
No.
jumped against
Mhm.
Jordan Westner? Have you met
Yeah.
Jordan?
So yeah, I jumped. I believe. I mean, it's hard to miss. Like he was at Memphis. I never jumped when he was at Florida State. Like I had. He was at Memphis, if
He
I
was in
recall
Memphis, yeah.
correctly. Like
Mhm.
I think I'd run into him a few times typically at the regional rounds, like
Right.
the NCAA, or like
Yeah.
maybe the Drake relays once in a while, which I actually never really jumped well at.
Right.
But yeah, like it's similar to you. It did take me some time. Like I always found like I was contributing to a team first and second year. Like I'd score and maybe sneak in an eighth place or a seventh place in the conference, being the Big Ten, right? Jump
Yeah.
in like out of high school, that 6-10 year, and then kind of just stay in there for a while and just kind of getting
Right.
stuck. until, the third year. And then that was kind of when I started getting over 7 feet and 7'1", and 7'1.5". And it's like,
Right.
okay, like now we're on to something. And then, and people like Jordan, you kind of see them and they're jumping like 7'5", 7'4", and you're like, well, these guys are the real deal. And that's where I always wanted to be at. But, for better or for worse, I'm so proud of kind of what I did, and, at the collegiate level. But, I always, it was like, it's interesting. And like I kind of said, like I coming in after like a lot of success in high school. And I think a lot of times now the whole push on like, mental health and making sure like, like it was crushing, right? Like you think you're them, but
Right.
you can't, but you're just not jumping the same bar as them.
Yeah.
And then that just kind of plays into some mental block. Like I could not get over 7 feet for 3-4 years. And then I finally did. And it was like, here, like, that was just one of the biggest release I'd ever had. And I think like things just opened up from there, and,
Right.
and then did it again my first year out of, we hit the same PR again, first year out of school, when I was, going to school, working and training, just because it wasn't a mental barrier. So I think like that's a big thing. And, high school kids just coming in, and you're probably pretty good if you're going to a high Division I school, but there's like 50 of you, right?
Yeah.
Legitimately, because that's what the NCAA first round is, top 48. Sure. So it's like, it is what it is. So yeah, guys like Jordan were definitely there, and they were, they were doing their thing. And then you'd see, I think at the beginning of my career, like there was like the Texas Tech crew they had there was ridiculous. Like there were 3 guys over 7'7" or something like that. Like it was just, and like you just see that, and it humbles you quickly, and you realize is, like, even though high jump is, an individual thing, like watching that can mess with you a little bit, right? So
right. Well, we had that going at UCLA. I think my sophomore year was the year up at Washington State, which is where Doug Norquist jumped. I think they had 5 guys jumping 7'2" or better. So for us, that was like, well, these guys are loaded, a couple guys going 7'6", or whatever. And you're like, man, we never even saw them. That was weird. My 4 years, we never went against Washington State. I've only seen them at the conference meet. There's only so many dual meets you can do, right?
Correct. Yeah. Right. So that's, I mean, I think I jumped against UCLA a few times. I can't remember the jumpers' names, but we'd see them typically. We go to Tempe for a meet, and they'd be there Pac-12 and Big Ten meets. So I remember seeing a few guys there. I don't know. I couldn't. We didn't spend much time out west. It was just mostly kind of Midwestern. And East.
Yeah.
But
it's a different animal. We were talking about the whole indoor thing. I really, really want to try to get an event out here, an indoor event. Find a really nice high school with a great gym or something similar, and a brand new floor or whatever, and do the high tops and that thing that I've been watching. Because when you're back east through this part of the year, there's people aren't outdoors. They can't be, out here we are, because we're just lucky. But I see all these meets. Like I said, I didn't have any experience with that until I started watching it on Instagram. I'm like, where are they jumping? I'm like, that looks like a basketball court. I'm like, how come we never did that? That looks like fun, and have a high quality meet. And it'd be really easy to just have it be high jumping, because, there's nothing else in there. You can't run around in circles on the inside of a basketball gym,
Right. Yeah. We're lucky to have, we have designated indoor track complexes. Right? We're in a facility that has Mondo track laid indoors. It circles a soccer field, but when we're on there, the soccer is not going on, and you might start your first few strides on some turf, and then artificial type grass, and then you're jumping off actual surface. You can get some spikes on, but we need it, because like you said, there's just no way we can survive trying to do it outdoors. And I've always enjoyed indoor track. I thought that was some of the complexes out east here, they are just beautiful indoor facilities, right? I know there's just millions of dollars poured into them. I'd like Canada to get a little more on board with that, but we have some pretty decent facilities as well. Right. But I mean, even now on the West Coast, I know Spokane, Washington just opened up this brand new beautiful indoor track and field space. So hopefully, hopefully they make their way down the coast a little bit. But I mean,
it'd be nice. I'm not counting on it, but I tend to be cynical sometimes about this. The dedication to track and field here in the States, just because I think we're so low on the totem pole of sports that people want
Right.
to go watch.
Mm-hmm.
I give you an example. When I was at UCLA, we had old films of, previous years before us. And at Drake Stadium,
Yep.
the bleachers go straight up. Now, all the time that I was there in the early to mid 80s, on meet days, it was about one quarter full. There was
Mm-hmm.
like, it felt like athletes, friends, and family only kind of thing. Now
Okay.
there might have been some, people from the dorms that were right up on top of there might have come down, and the students might have got cheaper tickets or whatever. But the basketball games were packed, the football games were
Of
packed at
course.
the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
There's 60, 70,000 people there. We had a couple, but back in the days before I got there was a UCLA USC dual meet where they showed these videos, and the stands at Drake Stadium, the ones that I was used to being a quarter
Yeah.
full, were packed, and there were 7 or 8 people deep on the fences looking in, like crowding over to see, and watch the high jump down on this one end. And I remember thinking, wow, track and field has really dropped in popularity. When I watched 76, I was 12 years old, and I watched Bruce Jenner win the decathlon gold medal. And
Right.
I remember thinking at the time going, wow, this guy is just a stud, and I'm like, he can do everything. He can long jump, be high jumps, and I'm 12 years old. I'm starting to just watch this stuff for the first time. And, I saw Dwight Stones go up to Canada and come in third, which was a huge controversial Olympics because he was supposed to win and it was in the rain. And he, they had that big thing where, he said, I hate French Canadians or whatever. And then the next day he came out in a t-shirt, said, I love French Canadians. And I was just like, wow, but the whole, that whole dynamic.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I think, but then now, like moving forward, I think like people like you just, spreading content around, people from all over the world, like showing jumps from middle of the Ukraine, the middle of, wherever you want to call it. And like people like me from Canada are watching it. People in your circle are watching it. It's like, you and other types of accounts and the social media thing. It's like, yeah, like people are trying to kind of get, eyeballs on track and field, and Diamond Leagues experimented with some things, the whole controversy behind, they hated the 6th round jump and the long jump because they tried to make it, they had it like the top 5, and then you had 5 jumps, and then the top 3 from those 5 jumps get 1 extra jump to compete against each other, and that's what determines who wins. So there's, I don't know, people didn't receive that too well, but that was an effort. That was an effort made to try and spice up track and field, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I mean, part of my position here is like I run a meet, like a major meet that we bring in, some athletes from the States or some from overseas, and it's kind of, I call it, it's still valuable and will ranking points, but it's obviously not like a Diamond League meet. But and we're just looking for ways to spice things up and make it interesting, and sell those tickets. So yeah, like I mean, I think track is definitely a product that people like. It's the oldest trick in the book. Like, let's race, right? It's very primitive, right? Let's race. Who can jump higher? Who can throw this thing farther, right? Like, and it's like sometimes though people just can't relate to it because they haven't done it, right? So it's like how can we make this something that people want to come watch? So that's and I think it's trending the right way. It's just a matter of getting people to try it. Like just try doing track, and then you can truly appreciate what these athletes are doing, because it's remarkable, right?
I agree. I think if we can get these. The problem is, I know football coaches, for instance, at the high school that I'm at, that just they don't want to send their athletes to track after football because they're like, well, they're not going to work as hard as they need to be working. Those track guys, they just run around for a little bit and they go. And that's true for some programs. And then, the really dedicated, even high school programs that have good weight room facilities and they got coaches that know what they're doing, like yourself, that would be at that level saying, hey, we need to get in the weight room. We got to get some plyometric boxes in here. We need to, we need to do this, we need to do that. And can raise the level, of those kinds of things. Then maybe these football coaches wouldn't be like keeping their death grip. Now there's a lot of other issues there, with year-round sports, that are killing us also. But, in the US, track and field's still alive. For a long time, I thought it was, just was dead and nobody'd smelled the corpse yet, but it's like, it's still alive. The problem is, there is money, I know there's the Nike athlete things and all that. And you've got the youth stuff is still going. And there's lots of people that are trying to capitalize on that. And that's like you said, everybody's trying to get their cut. But man, when you go over to Europe and you look at them fill stadiums and just, it's a whole different ball game. I mean, they love it over there. And the other thing I'm just going to mention really quickly that I think is a travesty is the way that it's covered on TV, because I've been watching it for a long time now. It was like in 86 was my senior year at UCLA, and Prime Ticket was a young, burgeoning cable network that said, hey, we're going to come film your meet. UCLA Cal, 1986 in the rain. And we saw him set the cameras up, and we were jacked up. We're like, we're going to be on TV, man. They're going to show track. And it was horrible. They showed every lap of, no offense to the 10,000 meter runners, but every lap of the 10,000 meters is 32 or 33 laps. Right. And the two guys are sitting there talking endlessly while these guys run around circles, and they didn't cover the high jump. They didn't cover the pole vault. They didn't cover shot and disc. And I'm like, it really hasn't changed much since then, because you watch, they have their featured of races with the featured guys, and they're all about that. And then they'll be like, okay, let's go over to the high jump and we'll show you the American, and then we'll cut away, and then we'll go over here and we'll show you this guy. And it's like, hey, there's something going on every 2 seconds at a track meet. When you've been there, there's races, there's vaulting, there's long jumping, there's this, there's that. And I keep thinking they need to do it like if it was a football telecast, if you watch that, they change angles and give you replays of everything. They do crowd shots, they do this, they do that. Okay. An amazing production, because there's just a boatload of money going into it. They're making billions of dollars on their television contracts. So that's competitive industry, and they're always pushing the envelope, trying to find new things. And you look at the Masters golf competition down here, they have cameras on every hole. They've got a guy with a microphone walking behind every group, and they'll be like, hey, I'm over here on 15, and here we're going to watch Tiger Woods, and he just chipped in for eagle, and it's like, let's watch that again, and it's like, I'm like, where are these people? I need them doing our track stuff, because
it's not,
it's not done as slickly or well.
Yeah. And I definitely, that was even like when I was coming up, like, we had some live streams at a few collegiate meets, and my parents would be like, hey, we want to watch the meet. Where's the stream? I was like, don't bother. Like it's just going to be like a pan over the oval, and, you'll hear some commentary. But then now I think like things are shifting slowly. I'll give the University of Michigan their flowers here. Like, they built some new, like, this multi-million-dollar type of facility, and towards my senior year, I got to go jump there. And their stream, they had installed different cameras for this very reason. And then, like, my parents could watch, and I ended up watching, so, like, as an alumni, I'd watch the meets there afterwards, and it was like, you could have you have the option to go pick what cam you want to watch. Only one has commentary, which is the oval. But then, like, if you want to watch the pole vault, you would just click pole vault, and then it would just be like a continuous stream of it. Like, there'd be no commentary, just a still camera. But at least that's that. At the Olympics this year, like, they did that. I don't know, through the Canadian broadcast, I was able to select what I wanted to watch. Only one would have commentary in this box, but the other box would just be the still of the high jump, and you'd have to like decipher who's jumping. Right. I just follow like a live results page, and you can figure it out.
Sure.
I don't know. I didn't watch the Olympic trials for the Americans here, because I didn't have the channel. But yeah, I would assume, I think behind probably like a paywall or something, you could do that. Like, there's so many cameras there, right? Like, yeah. So yeah, I think it's coming, and I think more people that's good enough to me. Like, if you gave me just like, I don't think I need commentary on the long jump, but if I wanted to watch it, at least I had the option of, clicking a screen, moving forward. So yeah. And that those are ideas like Diamond League was adopting too, just to spice up track. Cause like, why would you be paying all this money to bring an athlete, across the world to compete, and you can't actually even like capitalize on showing them on our stream? So like, what's the point? Why would we bring field eventers? right?
Yeah.
Like, why would we bring them? So I think now they've realized, well, I'm spending all this money on bringing them across the pond. Like, why don't I just, like, I got to show off our product,
Right.
right? So, yeah, I think like there's steps I think being taken, but obviously, it's always like the football dollars will always talk. And I'm curious what happens in this summer when, the world comes to Eugene, Oregon for the World Championships, right? Like, let's see what the World Championships is. They're going to be what are they doing TV wise, right? Like,
Yeah. That's,
what are we doing? Like,
ahead of time?
How are we showing?
In the U.S., they don't. You don't see those unless you got to really look for them. And like the NC2A championships for a long time, I remember catching 2 weeks after, and there it is on TV. And the Olympic trials is another thing. They did a better job covering the Olympic trials, and then the Olympics itself. Seems like wall to wall, coverage that at least they're on, and they're doing what they're doing. But it's that's the rarity. Like every 4 years we get one big meet, and then you might see the Penn relays or the Drake relays, or you'll catch an odd Saturday here or there, and if you're really looking for it, you can find it. But like I said, I think here in the U.S., it's the entertainment dollar. They talk about that all the time here in L.A. UCLA, USC football. There's the Rams. The used to be the Raiders. Now it's the Chargers. There's the Lakers. There's hockey. There's art museums. There's movies. There's everybody's competing for your entertainment dollar, and you can only be in one place. So it's like, which one do you pick? And if you say, hey, I want to go to a track meet out at UCLA or Cal State Fullerton or wherever you want to go, that's still not the choice destination, compared to the other ones. So we're fighting that battle for sure. I got a name for you, Barbara, and her last name, Bachaka. Is it Barbara Bachaka?
Oh yeah, she's a female jumper here.
Yeah. She's coming down to.
Okay, nice. Really? When is she in the near future? She'll be here in March. Amazing. Yeah. Is she come with her group, like a group of athletes there?
No,
by herself. Yeah.
No, she's come by herself. She live in somewhere in the South and work remotely and continue training. So.
I'm glad. Yeah. And again, she's a prime example of, someone who can work and still jump because you can be competitive at the Olympic trials level. Like, she's a very good jumper, and it would be, it'd be sad to see someone's career like fizzle out with that potential at 25 years old. Right. Like, right. She is someone, and a prime example of the Canadian system, I think, where we play to the advantage of just having less people in the pool. Right. But quality, I would say relative quality of athletes in the country. So yeah, it's good for her. I'm glad. Yeah. Like, California has definitely been a popular training spot for a lot of Canadians, just because the winter, kind of that stretch there where, some people would like to go Mount Sac. Long Beach has a few things, kind of that's the, that type of LA circuit, that a lot of teams will do. And, I actually coach a para athlete as well in the long jump and the discus.
Awesome.
And he's pretty, he is a world-class discus thrower, in his classification. So yeah, I'm sending him to Chula Vista. Like, he'll be in Chula, knock on wood, if everything goes to plan, mid-February. So California definitely treats us Canadians well. So I'm glad people like Barbara and, Athletics Canada, kind of make our way down there. So,
well, that's where Tyler Arroyo was training down at Chula Vista.
Yeah.
For a while.
I actually don't think I've met Tyler, but he's one of those. Was he at Chico State?
Yes. Chico State. Mm-hmm.
One of those guys where, kind of grew up in a similar class, and you're always looking at rankings, and you see that name quite a bit. And
he just recently boomed up. Yeah, and just me being a track nerd, like, like just watching numbers and seeing this, and then you see that, and you're like, oh wait, that looks familiar, and then you check your records, and I go, oh wow, whatever he's doing, it worked. So. Right. Yeah, well, see, I probably didn't ask the right question, so I keep telling him I've got to come down and watch him train, and I want to become a fly on the wall and see what it is, because he was at 7.2.5 for a while, and then he just like went almost straight from 2.5 to 5 3/4, and then
I remember I'd seen a clip actually on your page, and I was like, oh, whoa, is that the same dude I remember from checking these numbers, and always like kind of see where you're at. I mean, for better or for worse, I'd always be a numbers guy. Sometimes you get caught up in them, or sometimes you just want to know what's going on. But like that's definitely Chula Vista is the facility there is prime for any jumper.
I need to get down there and see what's going on. All right, we're fast forwarding through this. All right, that'll wrap it up for part 2 of the Paul Galas interview. We are done talking to Paul. No, we're not. Somebody is writing me now. Okay, let's see now. It was February 4th. Avenue Redondo Beach. February 4th at 1:30. It'll be close going the other way. February 4th is a Friday. We'll follow up on the 10th with the surgery. All right. Yada, yada, yada. And that'll wrap it up with part 2 of the Paul Galas interview here on Raise the Bar. Once again, I'm your host, Troy Haynes. We will be following up with part 3 in just a few short days with Paul. And then we are going to transition away from high jumpers for just a little bit and start talking UCLA sports with Rodney Van Jr. And I will tell you about Rodney when we do the intro for his part. Until next time, I'm Troy Haynes here on Raise the Bar.